Okay, thank you very much for an interesting speech or lecture. I'm Mads Broberg from the Danish newspaper Jyllandsposten, and I'm going to ask you some questions about some current developments in Denmark regarding your participation in a conference against radicalization on the 11th of September at the Copenhagen Business School. As you might know, the Danish Minister of Social Affairs, Ms. Karen Hækkerup, a Social Democrat, has said that she will not participate in this conference if you are going to give a speech, not because of this fatwa, but because of your work in Pakistan in the 1980s and your view on blasphemy laws. As I understand it, you support these laws. You've said that there's nothing wrong with the laws, but you don't like the way the administration because of corrupt police officers. So I would like you to explain your views on these blasphemy laws. And also I would ask you whether the statement from the minister will make you reconsider participating in this conference.
A good question. As far as the first part of your question is concerned regarding the participation of the minister or not, it is not concerned to me. So I want to give any comment or any response on that. This is the decision of the minister. Ministry, I am not aware of these things. And this is not my subject. I am concerned with my own participation. Who else is coming or not coming, I am not aware of this fact. I am a guest here. Secondly, I have gone through some newspapers today and yesterday, which you have asked the question about the blasphemy. And I have seen two, three newspapers. I saw yesterday, I saw today, and the English versions of Danish newspapers. And some of them purely Danish, which I couldn't find the English version, so they were translated to me verbatim, word by word, but the subject was same in all of them. I think somebody has prompted. This origin is one place. And the same letter or discussions has been carried on in 2-3 newspapers in 2 days. I know this. So I want to make it very clear. It was written on that. I would elaborate your question. It was written that I was the one who made this support to help in making this blasphemy law. And it is written I was advisor of General Zia at that time who made this Sharia law. And so on and so forth. So I want to make it clear, I have never been advisor of General Zia, the founder of these laws. Never in my life. I was against him, considering as a dictator. Rather, I led a very big movement against dictatorial move. And there was about 200,000 to 300,000 people when I was leading the movement to bring an end to dictatorial rule and to come to democracy. I was against him. Number two, since I was neither his advisor nor member of his cabinet, never, and nor member of his parliament. So what was my task in formulating of these laws? Laws are always formulated in the parliaments. I had never been member of the parliament throughout my life. Never. I have never been the member of any cabinet throughout my life in Pakistan. I was member of parliament only, elected member of parliament in 2002 in the regime of General Pervez Musharraf. This was my first participation in parliament in my life, and I was never connected with the governments before that. And the laws were made in 80s sometime when Zia-ul Haq, and he never ever consulted me on this subject. I'm saying it categorically. I'm responsible for what I say. He never consulted me. He never spoke to me on this subject of this law. He consulted me only once when he was formulating a law regarding the blood money. If a woman is murdered or a man is murdered, then what would be the monetary punishment? In Islamic law, there are two kinds, either retaliatory punishment or monetary compensation. He didn't consult me at that time too. I was here in Norway and Denmark on my tour. Now, I was in Norway at that time when he was going to pass the law, General Zia, that if a man is murdered, then compensatory punishment which would be given to the heirs of the murdered would be, for example, I'm telling, say 1 million rupees, 100,000 rupees, or you can say, if it is one, you can say 100,000 crown. Just I'm giving an example. But if this would be a monetary punishment, and it would be given as a financial compensation to the heirs if a man is murdered. And if a woman is murdered, then compensation would be half. This General Zia, on recommendations of his people, those who were in his government, they recommended this law and he was going to sign this law that day. I was on my European tour, and from Norway, I reached 1 day earlier in Pakistan. And I never knew what was happening there. I was addressing a gathering and there were some news and media people there, and they asked me a question as you stood up now. Dr. Qadri, what is your opinion on this blood money matter? Because the law is being made that the women's right in this financial compensation is half than a man. What is your opinion? I said this is a wrong law. I condemn it, and I am in favor of equality of man and women. I don't believe in discrimination of sex. So I gave a brief answer in a press gathering. This was published as a front page, what do you say, the big headline. This was published as a headline. That was the day when the draft of the law was in front of President of Pakistan, General Zia, and his cabinet was sitting there, and he was going to sign this discriminatory law. At the same time, his military secretaries, they put the file of newspapers where my statements was published as a headline that Professor Qadri has said this, contrary, opposite to the views of other ulama, the scholars. He says, no, it should be equal. He didn't sign it. He had a regard. It was my young life, although being a professor of law, but he had a regard of my literary and my academic position. He himself called me. He rang me. And my secretary told the President of Pakistan wants to speak to you. I received the call. He said, Dr. Qadri, is this really your statement? That women's right is equal to man? I said, yes, positively this is my statement. So you are of this view? I said, yes. He said, no other scholar of the whole country has supported your view. Everybody has said me half. I say, I don't bother any other scholar supports this view or not. My view is supported by Quran. Then he said, I want to hold an official debate on this subject. I said, I'm ready. Give me 3 days for preparation. So I took my books. There was a preparation. Then Islamabad, then presidency. I gave 8 hours discourse and arguments in favor of the equality of both sex, in front of all judges, ulama, cabinet members, governors and chief ministers. 8 hours. And when I finished my arguments, he asked all those ulama who had given their view in favor of half, but do you have any question? None of them stood up. They said, we are of the same view, but we can't question the authoritative talk of Dr. Qadri. We will discuss this later. So General Zia sent that law back, and he got a new draft, and that was based on equality of the sex, male and female. My involvement was just once on this matter. So whatever is being published, that is totally wrong. I think those people should correct their source. And number two, instead of getting